You are watching and listening to the HSP podcast on the Give Us a Shot Network, powered by Fast Break Coffee. I am Jeff Martin alongside the Trendsetter Brian Berga, and we are reacting to the CM Punk promo. Is it PG Punk, or are we just so freaking ready to nitpick and be fickle that all we can do is just bitch and moan about every single thing in pro wrestling, man? Relax, people. Anyway, you can follow us on all our social media at High Spot Podcast. Trendsetter, what is going on? Ready to break down this CM Punk promo?
Everyone's been talking about it. You and I wanted to spend some time to discuss it a little bit further in detail. So, no better time than now to do it, Jeff, in terms of PG Punk and the Punk everyone's used to, the angry, poisonous, cancerous Punk. Is there a difference? I'll let you get started with this one, Jeff.
All right. So, if you've joined us on IG Live on Saturday, we just reacted to the CM Punk making his return to WWE. The credits were rolling and everybody was like, yay, Randy Orton's back. But man, I wish CM Punk would have been there. And all the rumors, everything, all the Easter eggs were for naught. But then all of a sudden you hear the little static and then the fans go nuts in Chicago. CM Punk is back. And then all day Sunday, you saw Seth Rollins' reaction, you saw Sami Zayn, you saw Drew McIntyre storm off, and then let the media coverage begin, right? Everybody was against CM Punk. Nobody wants CM Punk. CM Punk has signed a long-term deal. How much did he sign for? All this stuff heading into Monday Night Raw, and we were finally going to get CM Punk with a live microphone in his hand, Trendsetter, and everybody was waiting for that burn. Everybody was waiting for the shot at the Young Bucks, waiting for him to call out Seth Rollins. But it didn't happen, first and foremost, because it seems like the Dominic Mysterio and Randy Orton match went a little bit too long for their liking. Blame Bruce Pritchard, who was in charge of Raw that Monday, because Triple H had other WWE duties. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But a little bit of overrun in the match. People were already complaining on social media saying we didn't need to see Nia Jax versus Zoe Starks. We need to see this. We didn't need to see a backstage segment with R-Truth, because all they wanted to do, all they were waiting for was CM Punk. And did it deliver? That's the question. And when I first saw it, I was like, wow, this is a little mellow Punk. But what I came about was that, listen, this guy is letting it all sink in. He said it first, Trendsetter. Hell froze over. You never thought this was going to happen. It still felt surreal when he came in. Were the pops the same in Chicago than they were in Nashville? Maybe not. But then the fans were yelling CM Punk, and we were waiting him to eviscerate either Seth Rollins or eviscerate the Elite. But that didn't happen. It was more of like, hey, I'm home, which is hard to believe that he said that and that he belongs here. Obviously, the first thing that people are going to say is no matter what you think about it, no matter how you slice it, it kind of sounded hypocritical since Punk made his return to wrestling at AEW, and any chance he got tore up WWE and WrestleMania and all those things. So you felt like he never got over it. But then for him to come out with those comments, you were kind of like, okay. And you're waiting and waiting and waiting. And you got that slow burn by WWE because they want to reintroduce you to CM Punk. Did it live up to the expectations? Maybe not. But you got to understand one thing, guys. This is a long-term storytelling, something that didn't happen at the other place where you just got matches and matches and matches, and that's about it. So my belief is, guys, you're so freaking fickle. Relax, like the great Aaron Rodgers on my New York Jets would say. Relax. It's just his first time getting out there. He's reacclimating himself to the WWE universe. He hasn't been there in almost 10 years. Some people are like, Mommy, Daddy, who is that guy? And in WWE fashion, they're like, well, that's CM Punk. Get to know CM Punk. Find out what's going to happen. And listen, would have it been more impactful had he had a few more minutes? Maybe. But did it live up to the expectation? Probably not. But it did its job. And for you people, I'm sorry saying you people, but for the wrestling fan that's fickle, PG Punk, after one promo, give me a freaking break, Trendsetter. What say you?
Wow, you kind of said everything there too. I mean, the one thing I probably wouldn't agree in terms of what you're saying is to reintroduce CM Punk. I don't think you need to. You know why? Because if you had to reintroduce him, you wouldn't have buildings all over the world, all over other countries chanting CM Punk, so they know who he is. But I guess in taking what you just said, maybe they're reintroducing this new version of him, I guess. I mean, and people want to talk about how, this is, as we said, PG Punk compared to the CM Punk that everybody knows, everybody loves, and everybody's waiting to, start turning and, throwing those pipe bombs out there, right? For me personally, looking at it, going back real quick to what you were saying, but if I had to say, did it deliver? It didn't deliver from what everyone wanted to see Punk do and what they wanted him to say. But I think it delivered the message because as heartfelt as it was, and it's kind of awkward to see CM Punk be heartfelt about anything that isn't about him. I'm just being honest here. He's really egotistical about himself.
And you're not lying, by the way. So
yeah. Call me out when I'm telling lies.
But, there you go. But you're not, though. You're not.
Exactly. But despite all that, he made some small little points in terms of how, Easter egg here. He went back into a locker room that welcomed him with open arms. People gave him kisses and hugs, and everyone was happy to see him, and not everyone, as he looks into the camera. And so this is all building up, in my opinion, as we saw how Seth Rollins' reaction was after Survivor Series, flipping him the finger, throwing him the bird. Also talking about him in live events and even on Raw, saying he's not going to waste an ounce of breath talking about that hypocrite. Okay. That's fine. It's building up to this. And sometimes, as much as you said before too, right? It's like it's a new CM Punk. It's also a new company. You look at AEW and what they did, right? And they weren't necessarily about storytelling. They were about just fantasy booking and fantasy matchups and these matchups we've always wanted to see. And AEW has done, to their credit, they've delivered on that. They've given us these fantasy matchups we thought we'd never see before. Okay. But now you're going back to the WWE and like, okay, now it's about storytelling. Well, it is a different company, per se, what Triple H said in the post press conference at Survivor Series. CM Punk's changed, so is Triple H. He's not the same person he was back then 10 years ago when, he wasn't happy about working with CM Punk or spending any time with him. And then, the whole main event situation of WrestleMania and him working with him at WrestleMania and getting over on him and all this stuff. It's a new company. And now for people who are getting upset and they're looking at their watches like, oh my God, this is going long. You're only giving CM Punk 2 minutes. Well, I'll give the devil, wink, wink, credit where credit is due. He only really needs 2 minutes. Because if he can't deliver after all the experience CM Punk's had, if he can't deliver in 2 minutes, then what was the point of signing him? So I think he delivered, not to what the die-hardcore fans of CM Punk want to see CM Punk do in terms of, throwing out that dirty laundry. But again, it makes you want more. And in a day and age now where I'll be the first to admit when I was a part of that demographic saying, I want to see more wrestling. I want to see more wrestling. I want to see more of this. I now take a step back. I admit my own faults because I'm not the same guy. I'm not the same fan I was when we first started doing this podcast, Jeff.
I mean, if you're the same guy you were 10 years ago, then there's something wrong with you.
Exactly. There's something wrong with you. And the mere fact that this version of CM Punk is now giving us the ability of wanting to see more of what's going to happen next. Because as much as he gave in, and especially towards the end when the camera was panning off and the mic was gone, he didn't have the microphone on him. He said, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money. That was done on purpose. And you know what? At the end of the day, it has us talking about it. It has everyone in all the wrestling community talking about the promo, talking about how they're going to use CM Punk, what storyline is going to be in next. I think everyone can safely say it's going to lead to Seth Rollins most likely at WrestleMania. We'll see if that actually happens. Who knows? They might throw us a curveball. In terms of CM Punk, people asked me and asked you, is this the right move? How'd you feel about it? Hey, listen, at the end of the day, it's not my company. I'm just a fan just like you, Jeff. I'm not going to be politically correct here, too. But at the end of the day, he brings money. He draws people in, regardless whether you like him or you hate him, or you could do away with him. I personally could have done away with CM Punk. But at the same time, I would be dumb and naive to think that he still didn't have some type of enthusiasm or some value to him, especially at this stage in his career. So I think it delivered, not to what people liked, but listen, man, at the same time, it makes you wanting more. And isn't that all part of show business, Jeff? You want more. And everyone wants more of CM Punk now. Whether it's PG or CM, they want more of him.
He was going to be damned if he did, damned if he didn't, because then it would have been like, oh, CM Punk being petty. Oh, acting like a child. Oh, has he learned nothing from his past issues with the Bucks and Kenny Omega and Jack Perry, who should, by the way, be fired ASAP because you have a guy that you basically sent him over to the competitor that you're in a supposed war against for freaking glass, and Jack Perry should be fired on the spot if I'm Tony Khan making an example out of him. But that's another segment for another show, Trendsetter. But he was damned if he did, damned if he didn't, because had he come at it that way, then it would have been like, oh, is there a reason to talk about the competitor? Is there a reason to hold ill feelings? No, Punk is not the person who, well, by the way, he did though, but the Young Bucks, when everything went down with the firing of CM Punk, were the ones that got in the ring and did their victory lap, little clap and little jab at CM Punk. Punk, on the other hand, decided to move on, and that's what WWE is going to decide to do. You're not going to make a story out of your competition. You have to make a story now of who's in front of you, and that's Seth freaking Rollins. Now, I love the way they kind of play CM Punk in his wording, because I think the moment he said, I've changed, you saw the crowd go, oh, like they, it's hard to believe that this man has changed because of the previous behavior. But the guy was fine backstage with everybody, like you said, hugs and kisses. But again, people are going to say, well, he has to be, right? He has to be, because he's got to make a good impression on the guys. And obviously, the first impression was, okay, this is not the guy that we've heard about in AEW. But what I like about this is that it opens up a lot of doors. You can have CM Punk, the good guy, the face, or you can have the kind of guy, like, I'm not sure if he's in business for himself here with what he's saying, because like you said, he's not here to make friends. He's here to make money. He said that off kind of like the mic. So we heard that. So it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do with CM Punk in the future. But listen, you guys got to calm down. It's the first time he's come out there. Obviously kind of looked like he was letting it sink in as well. He probably didn't even believe he was in the same situation he was. Listen, can you attack him because he, at any chance, he attacked WWE and threw jabs at him when he was in AEW with the WrestleMania comments and all that, and even The Miz and Triple H? Sure you can. But you know what? You never know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen 6 months from now. You don't know who you're going to be in bed with. And right now, CM Punk, for the long term now, is in WWE. Trendsetter, is he going to be more careful now? Does he have to be more careful? Is this his last chance? Does he know that if he messes up here, it's basically, that's it, I'm done in the wrestling business? He can go to TNA, he can go to New Japan, but as far as the mainstream cash, right, and that's the driving force, is this his last opportunity?
In the wrestling business, they say never, right? But I honestly do feel this is his last opportunity, especially at this stage. The platform that he's on right now, the WWE, that platform, listen, they always say there's a revolving door, right? Especially when Vince McMahon was running things that, hey, that you're always welcome to come back, right? I still think those rules apply, but in the scenario of here, it's that we know CM Punk's getting older. We know maybe his time in the ring isn't as long as people would like to see now at this stage, because we saw what happened when he was in AEW, how the body broke down. Mentally, he broke down too, in terms of a lot of things were weighing on him, because you thought all that was behind him. He let that go once he left the company, WWE, for the first time, and just didn't want anything to do with it. And he had a company in AEW that was bending over backwards for him. Now he's back on this platform. He gives his heartfelt "I'm home" speech. Okay. Now you hope you've learned your lesson. Now, does that mean by learning his lesson, do I mean he's going to now start holding back? Is he going to maybe not take jabs or push things to the limit? No, because that wouldn't be him. And at the same time, as we talked about before, I'm not the same guy, or you're the same guy you were once 10 years ago as CM Punk is. But at the same time, you know what works for you. You know what people want from you. The only difference is now, I think more than ever, is that prior in the past, when he wanted to be the voice of the voiceless, and he talked about wanting change and him doing everything he possibly could in terms of exhausting and burning himself out to obtain that, realizing now, I feel more than ever, at least at this stage in CM Punk's career, Jeff, that it is a marathon. It is not a sprint anymore. He should be walking very gingerly, especially on those ankles, Jeff. And he should really now, it's more of a timing thing for me now. Listen, at any point when people talk about pro wrestling or sports entertainment, at this stage right now, is CM Punk a little bit past his prime? Maybe a little bit, but he's still in his prime. And he still has prime years and prime matchups to give you in the WWE universe, or the fans, everyone watching here, the crew, that you have many opportunities in terms of CM Punk going against people he's never faced before, or rehashing things that were done in the past, like you said right now, just probably why the whole Seth Rollins thing makes the most sense now. I've heard rumors that there are plans for Roman Reigns, and who knows what's going on with Cody. So there are plans there. There are definitely opportunities there. But I think it's his last go around here. I feel if he cannot succeed here anymore, and we continually see the same thing we saw in AEW or we saw in WWE before, where listen, CM Punk is not the easiest guy to work with, and that's fine, right? Because you and I, Jeff, both know we eventually have to work with people we don't like. I don't like you very much, but I can tolerate you because you know what?
I was
There's
I
been,
was
besides anything, there's been a mutual respect between the two of us, right?
we only have
When you
15
work with individuals that you despise, that you wouldn't piss on to put out if they're on fire, you know that business tops everything. Making money tops everything. So everyone needs to be professional. Everyone needs to be like, you know what? At the end of the day, as much as they don't like personally Phil Brooks or CM Punk, it draws money, and that's all that anyone, especially Phil, who said it at the end of his promo on Monday Night Raw, should care about. Money, and that's going to draw a lot of eyes, drawing that money for everybody in that company.
So as far as PG Punk, I think that you guys are being way too critical, and as Bryan Danielson would say, way too freaking fickle. Because man, let it breathe. I mean,
Yeah,
everybody
but don't
already.
start Bryan Danielson, Jeff, because he's the biggest hypocrite of them all.
And what about Bryan Danielson, who is part of this committee?
Yeah.
Was involved as far as deciding on CM Punk's future. And it was somebody in the legal department, an attorney, and Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon. And for Bryan Danielson to have that say and be like, listen, man, it's going to suck money wise, but this is what has to be done. And that's why he came out with that cryptic post about, something about my dad and whatever, saying about money and all that. And here is a wrestler having say, and it just shows you not being critical of Tony Khan, because you have to respect what he's done. You have to respect where he's taken AEW. But the fact that this is evolved into a situation where it didn't have to be, where it could have been nipped in the bud way before. I mean, you're basically having your wrestler that you're playing bookie with, and you're playing, and you're playing like I'm running a wrestling company with, because you guys get off on being marks for each other. You're letting him dictate, and I don't want to hear that. Oh, he's such a generational wrestler. I have so much respect for him. That's fine. Respect him in the ring, but for him to be the final word, the final say in your company, when you should have the cojones to be like, hey, listen, CM Punk, this is my situation. Either you're fired, or we're going to terminate Jack Perry, or we're going to nip this in the bud it all in during your biggest pay-per-view of all time. I mean, that really says a lot of what the leadership is, and that's the main problem now with AEW. And the situation is this: it could have been avoided, crisis could have been averted, and you're letting Bryan Danielson decide a huge thing, because at the end of the day, wrestlers come and go. It's your company. This is on you, and you basically sent him to your competitor. And listen, look at what happened at Survivor Series. Look at the social media. Look at all the records that are broken. That's on you, nobody else.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not here to be critical about what Tony Khan has not and has done and has not done, or what AEW failed to do or didn't do. Listen, they made their choice, they made their decision, they handled the whole situation with CM Punk. They handled it the way they wanted to handle it. I'm sure to a lot of people, playing, as the expression goes, Monday Night Quarterback. It's easy for us on this side to look at a company and how they're running and say, no, I would have done this, I would have done that. I'm not here to say that. However, anybody wants to handle things within their company is on them. But the mere fact of what you said too, you did it in such a way where now it's set up, you set it up where now your own competition, as you call it, now has the asset that you so much valued and spent so much money and time to bring back out of retirement and build back up within your brand, within your avenue of people, to send them off to your competitor. So it doesn't speak very highly. It doesn't make much business sense, in my opinion, though, too. But again, WWE is that difference, though. And again, we could debate back and forth. I'm sure we will several times as we get closer to WrestleMania, and we do this more often about, is there a war, is there not? I think people just kind of build that up in their own head. But for CM Punk, I think honestly, he needed, if he had come back just to WWE after everything had happened, I don't think it would have been the same. I think it means so much more because we saw CM Punk come back, kind of get that level of excitement, that bug again, that feeling of professional wrestling again. Had that time, spent that time in professional wrestling. Now he's back on the entertainment side. And I feel at this point right now, if you're WWE, and I'm sure CM Punk would want to hear being managed, right? Who'd want to man? Nobody's going to manage me and tell me what to do. Granted, they're not going to tell you what to do or what to say. They could steer you in the right direction, of course, because again, it's a different company now. Vince isn't back there anymore, so there's some leeway for some creativity. But ultimately, the less we see of CM Punk or the minimal amount of times we see him out there, the better, because it keeps the crowd interested. I don't know if he's going to be a full timer. You talked about it before, right? And I saw reports too about, he signed a lengthy extension with WWE. For how long, I don't know. And at the same time, as a fan, I don't really care anymore. You know what? Because I want to be surprised. I don't want to think it's just one quick stint for WrestleMania and that's it. He's going to be here for the long run. But I don't see CM Punk doing that type of schedule again, because it's what got him in trouble in the first place. It's what got him burnt out in the first place. And if you're WWE and you want to keep your cash cow happy, you're not going to do that. So PG Punk, people can mock it all they want, Jeff. But at the end of the day, that PG Punk brings in one thing, an S with dollar signs on it. That's the only thing you want. That's the only thing you need from a guy like CM Punk right now, Phil Brooks, because at the end of the day, he's going to thrive in this, because now he knows, as much as creative control is no longer in his hands because he's no longer in AEW, he doesn't call his own shots. He does know, though, he has the ability of, once he gets that microphone, and something he's always been really good at, what he says and doesn't say will be so much more meaningful now than ever before, because of what we could potentially see down the road in Philadelphia. So that, for me as a fan, I'm excited to see that. So whether it be PG or CM, to me, it's still, even from the Survivor Series debut to now, you can't say it's not a success.
And if you're worried more about Shibata's long-term health compared to losing one of your top stars, there's your problem right there. That is your problem right there in a nutshell. When you're worried about Shibata, who tons of respect for what he's done, but has he drawn a dime in the States? No. Yes. Is it health concerns? Of course. But when that's your top priority, that's where there's something wrong. If it sounds cold about somebody's health issue, whatever, that's fine. But again, if you're not into this about making money, then I don't know what to tell you. But that is your problem right there. You're more worried about Shibata's injury than losing one of your top competitors. And obviously, for legal reasons, Tony can't comment. That's fine. If he's going to do that, fine. But there you go. In a nutshell,
CM Punk too. I'm sure he can't talk for legal reasons.
And all the burning of the CM Punk shirts will continue. And of course, people are still going to be hurt by this, instead of realizing that, hey, things happen. People switch companies, and there'll be more people switching from WWE to AEW and vice versa. But as far as I'm concerned, that first promo by CM Punk, less was more in that aspect. And I'm interested to see what's going to happen down the road, because he was damned if he did, damned if he didn't. Whatever he did last night, he was going to get really destroyed no matter what. So whatever you were going to nitpick the wrestling fan, you're either going to bitch about being too short and not a pipe bomb, or you're going to be like, Punk grew up, move on. That's what you don't do. So at the end of the day, he wasn't going to win anyways. But you know what? We'll see what happens. Less is more, and we'll see what happens next Monday night on Raw. Trendsetter. Again, this is the HSP podcast, powered by Fast Break Coffee on the Give Us a Shot Network. Follow us on all our social media. Again, was Punk PG enough for you, or you missed the old CM Punk? Well, we're going to be on this crazy ride for the time being. So, Trendsetter, do what you do best and bring this one home.
Well, to quote the words of someone famous, be careful, ladies and gentlemen, what you wish for, because now you have it. CM Punk is back in the WWE. We'll see what goes from there. Let's enjoy the ride, guys, while we still can enjoy it, and see what happens afterwards. But, guys, you are listening to the Jersey Wrecking Crew for my tag team partner, Jeff Martin. I'm the Trendsetter, Brian Berger, the one and only. And remember, we do this for one reason and one reason only. We do this for you, the crew.